Are you prepared to break free from the conventional notions of luxury and wealth? Unlock the secrets to managing and growing family wealth while preserving legacy. Welcome to Beyond Wealth.
Welcome to another episode of Beyond Wealth. I'm your host, Jonathan Fishbeck. Today I welcome Philip Smith to the show with us. He's a seasoned estate manager and director of residence working for a number of families within his business, helping them to optimize their properties in a seamless, efficient way. Philip understands the importance of proactive estate management, client services, all while looking to improve value and sustainability long-term for his clients. Philip, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jonathan, thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here, man. I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. So I'd like to start with kind of a rundown of your business, and then we'll jump into your background here. So could you tell us your company?
Yeah, Atreides Consulting and Management, ACM Limited. What we offer is a sort of a bespoke estate and property management for our clients. There are some corporate services thrown in the mix as well. But essentially what we do is take care of clients' properties and homes so they don't have to worry about it. And basically making sure that everything is running as it should. And that includes all manner of things, maintenance, scheduling, renovation, handling things that need to be updated or changed, or construction from the ground up. Can go from there as well.
Amazing. And how long have you guys been around?
We're fairly new. We are 3 years old as a company, but I come from the hospitality background, so this sort of fit really well with what I know really well. Yeah.
Awesome. And then what's your team size?
So currently we're 2 persons, but we contract out any additional team members that we need as we need them. So when I need a lawyer, I've got 1 or 2 on call. When I need a contractor, or I need specialist millwork, whatever it is, or I need a housekeeping, we essentially just contract that out.
Awesome. And no, that's great. So, touching on your background, we'd love to hear your story, maybe any inspiring moments that have led you to, now finding your own business and learning a little bit more about you, Philip.
Yeah. So I went to university in Canada, and then I also went to culinary school there. And so I ended up living in Ontario for the most part for nearly 10 plus years, schooling and then working, and just developed the love for hospitality and keeping my clients real happy. I think my parents wanted me to be a lawyer, but I'm not for that. That's not for me. I like seeing a client and making them happy, and bringing a smile to their face, making sure that they are getting everything that they want out of the services that I can bring. And I like working with folks and people in different aspects of hospitality. So I've worked in the kitchens as a chef. I've worked front of house. I've managed boutique hotels. I've managed some private clubhouses, and that's all sort of wrapped up and sort of into a nice little sort of skill bubble that sort of put me into this position I'm in now, where I'm able to sort of offer all of these skills that I've learned over the years to 1 and 2 and 3 different clients as they come.
Awesome. And I appreciate the background. I think the thing that I love the most is, how people-centric you are. That's something, on this show in particularly, putting people first, leading with care, having the right kind of values going into this industry ends up really serving you well. So I can imagine that it's very rewarding now to be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic. I love what I do. I think when we're able to have a client that wants a certain thing, and if we're able to deliver it, we deliver it. And there's no better feeling in the world than getting a client what they wanted. Really,
Yeah.
for a hospitality professional, it's why we do what we do. Yeah.
That's great. As far as I want to really focus in on kind of the value and sustainability to kind of kick off this conversation together, because I think that's a very interesting topic. So, I'm interested to understand kind of how your company's estate and property management services specifically are enhancing value and sustainability to client properties. Maybe some of the tactics and strategies that you guys use.
Yeah, so I'm based in the Bahamas, and we get a lot of sunlight. So there are things like getting solar installed for our clients. Very efficient means of creating energy for properties, and these properties generally use a lot of energy. You've got some with 2 and 3 different pools, and they're essentially miniature resorts to a degree. So you know, keeping maximizing and being efficient with what we have, and then with a proper maintenance scheduling so that we're able to keep these units working as long as physically possible, making plans for replacements and upgrades as necessary. Our clients put in multi-millions of dollars into these properties, and it's my responsibility to ensure that they're not just throwing the money away, that we're able to yield exactly what they want out of these properties. Sometimes they use these properties as investment tools. Other times it's purely for fun and for the family or for friends. Either way, we want to make sure that it's operating at 100% every time.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I'm hearing and I really love is that even though you're a service provider, right, for profit, you're still taking a fiduciary approach and really safeguarding your clients' time and investments into these properties. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, I think that I can imagine that your clients really can kind of feel that right away when they start working with you.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I make it very clear to them that, if there are things that need to get done, we plan, we schedule it, we let them know this is what needs to happen. If you want to maintain it at this certain level. And I've been very lucky in that most of my clients have all agreed that, these things make sense. I think they've invested time and money into these things, and they want to get the yield. They want to see results from it. The worst thing you can do is to have a utility like let's say a hot tub, and then it's not working, right? Or you can have or if you're going to have a renovation, scheduling it and being on top of those vendors that are doing the works to make sure that it's accomplished in time. You hopefully on budget, but certainly on time, and so that there is no delay. And that requires a lot of project management skills. That requires a lot of healthy relationships with certain vendors, and a good open communication line with my clients.
Yeah, and I think whether it's the management side of it, or it's capital projects, potentially enhancements, or completely new projects, transparency and clear lines of communication are absolutely important and established up front. As you continue to share with us today, I'm also really interested in in how you guys go about understanding that when you come into any client, any project, you're looking to add your value, improve the economic outcome for the client, but you guys offer consultation services, and so I'm curious as to kind of when you take on a new client or a project, kind of your approach in that kind of pre-construction or pre-management process, and some of the consultation services that you really focus in on and bring value kind of before you get started.
Yeah, well, I think it all begins with the meeting with the client and finding out what it is that they want. There are some clients that will operate and purchase properties where they're not interested in. Some of them are looking for a quick turnover, right? It's a strictly investment, purchase, hold, sell, year or two, right? But the great majority will purchase and want to enjoy the place, enjoy the home. Some are not interested in upgrades. Some want specific things, but it all comes down and boils down to finding out what that client wants. Sometimes getting that out of them can be a little bit of a difficult challenge. Sometimes people say they want one thing, but really they want something else, and you've got to kind of dig deep, have a couple conversations to figure out what it is that they want. Other times you have family that are involved. So clients may find that they have sons and daughters that maybe want to visit and do something completely different than what their parents are going to use the property for. So it all comes down to what it is that the client wants, creating the sort of a checklist of how we can achieve these things, and then setting out a plan. And once we've able to sort of narrow down what we need to do to get these things done for them, it's just about the hard work of actually doing that job, right? Sometimes people want things that I'm in the Bahamas. We don't have quick access to the things that most of our clients want. So we're this is a lovely island. It's beautiful, but you're not able to just go down the road and pick up just grab a new stove that's top of the line. You got to order that. It takes time to deliver it, right? So if my client wants a car, they can't just buy her a car. I've got to go about the process of sourcing the car, shipping it down, clearing customs and duties, licensing in the Bahamas, doing all of these things that are that they may not even be aware of. Sometimes they just it's Bahamas is very close to the United States. We got a lot of tourists from the United States, a lot of folks coming down, but a lot of them don't realize that it's a different country, right? And so making these things sort of clear, and laying out the steps that need to happen to enable getting them the things that they want needs to happen from day one. That way we're not caught in a situation where we've promised something that we cannot deliver. There is no greater sin than to promise something that you cannot deliver. So before I promise I can do something, I'm making sure that I can. And over the years, I've learned exactly what we can and cannot do. And there's not much that we can't do, but keeping things in perspective is key.
Yeah, and I think, that goes to, kind of, it feels like you kind of do a lot of owner representative work up front and really, really representing your clients. And, you mentioned energy earlier, and I'm familiar with where you guys operate. And, it's vitally important, no matter where you are, geographically, that you're understanding kind of the end game, right? I used to always want to reverse engineer the outcome from a lifestyle perspective and understanding what they ultimately wanted out of it. And then that really ties into a lot of the natural resources, because, it might be difficult to manufacture your energy. It may be difficult to manufacture your water sources, your gas sources. And so, making sure that you've then done that in a way that could ultimately meet the property's end goals. If, say, there's multiple phases of construction and build out, and not limiting yourself up front. So, we've always said, and always practice taking a lot more time up front in the planning and discovery with clients in order to really then be able to set an expectation that you can deliver on. And it sounds like that's the approach that you take as well.
Absolutely. It's the winning approach. It's the way to go. Absolutely. I think if you don't do it, you find yourself in a whole lot of trouble down the road. And, as everyone knows, when you're deep in it, man, trying to get out of it, nothing worse, so the key is just never to get in it, don't set yourself up, and do the research, do the work. There's any number of opportunities that where you can find to achieve the things that your clients want. It's just a matter of doing a little research, taking a little time, making the contacts, and then getting it done. I've got a client that wants, a completely, totally organic garden. This is a 3-acre property with lush gardens, right? I mean, you want completely changing that takes time, takes effort, so I'm continuously learning. I'm taking irrigation courses, I'm taking pool management courses, electrical courses, just adding to that wheelhouse, not to necessarily do the actual installations myself, but so that I have a better understanding of what it takes and what is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting it done. That's key. That's really what we want to do. So we'll work and you know
Yeah, I mean, I have to ask the question just because I know where you guys are down in the Bahamas. If you could, if you have like something that stands out as like one of the most difficult things that you ever have to like procure, maybe some of your biggest challenges that you guys have dealt with and overcome. Obviously, you're becoming a botanist on the side here, but
yeah.
you had to have had some pretty crazy requests that you've managed to fulfill, but on the
Yeah.
outset, probably were a little bit skeptical if you would be able to actually achieve it.
Well, I tell you right now, I'm in the middle of one. We haven't finished it yet, but we're getting close. My client wants koi fish, right? She wants, and uh, you know, the challenge, of course, in the Bahamas is that there are places with koi fish, but they're like generally, larger hotels with a full aquarium staff, right? Now, how do I get koi fish operating in a pond on property here? I got to learn about biofilters. I got to learn about water treatment, what's necessary involved in that. And it isn't just hiring someone to build it. If we're going to keep koi fish that are very expensive, it's not a goldfish, so I don't want to take on that responsibility without having done enough of the research to figure out how I'm going to do it. So right now, the first thing you do is treatment of water. And that's been sort of the past month and a half has been not just learning the treatment of water, but consulting with folks down here that have the expertise and that are very friendly, creating the relationships so that we can kind of achieve this thing. Hopefully, before the end of the year, we'll have a system in place where we'll actually be able to get some koi fish in the ponds, and it's looking that way. Like we'll be able to do it pretty well. I mean, we're lucky in the sense that this particular property is next door to a larger hotel that also has koi fish. So
Mm-hmm.
it's developing relationships with them. And it could be really easy just buying the fellow a beer and saying, "Hey, man, let's talk a little bit." I want to learn about this thing that really well. So it's that's an ongoing project that is still a challenge. But it's that kind of thing is very normal in my world, right? You get a lot of these odd requests, that just pop up out of nowhere sometimes. But if we can manage it, if we can find out what it is they want, everything's achieved. Most things are achievable. And if it's not, I'm going to be pretty clear and say, you know what, this everything I've looked into says this thing cannot happen. But like I said, I haven't met that thing yet. But
Right.
right,
Yeah, and so now that you're working with clients, you guys are a smaller internal team, but you've got a large portfolio of service providers. When it comes to kind of your approach on the asset care, I understand that there's some clients that might buy something that's an investment, and you're the only boots on the ground there with your team. There might be other things where this might be a secondary home that they visit frequently and may have staff on property. So I'm just kind of interested in some of the ways that you approach the actual asset and property care for clients, and also some of the kind of the nuances of working with their staff and kind of more or less partnering with your client in an effort to kind of deliver the end experience that they're looking for.
Well, most of my clients either have family offices or they have a PA that does their work for them to agree with me that I'll work with. So learning their system, because they're not going to change their system to mine. I've got to learn how they operate, when they want invoices, when they want to receive information on this or that, how they want to receive it. Some folks want a WhatsApp message or a text message. Others want a detailed report, either weekly or monthly. And you've got to be flexible. You've got to create the system that works within their system for how they want to receive it. So that you end up having a couple different clients that all want things a little differently. Um, the broad strokes are all the same, but the minutia, the little details change, and you've got to be able to um, accommodate for that. What it means is that the reports, my daily reports, I make my own daily reports, and then I disseminate accordingly for clients, so that one wants a report monthly. One doesn't care about anything, any reports. They just want it done. Doesn't mean that I don't make the reports. I still do, because I need that reference. I need to have be able to say that when something comes up, or if they, let's say, for instance, I've made a recommendation for a new water heater, and I've done everything on my end to say that we need a new water heater. I'd like to get your, to get this done, and they say no. I've got to have a record saying where they said no. I've got to keep this thing on track, and also chase down the fact that this thing will happen. These things will happen if we don't replace it, and it needs to get done. Otherwise, make it very clear to the clients that these things, that other certain parameters will suffer unless we do take certain actions. So keeping a record of it is very helpful, both for my purposes and to advise clients when if there are ever any discrepancies, or but generally speaking, I mean, it's just a matter of finding out how they operate and working within their systems. And yeah, that's that.
Yeah, and I appreciate the insights there. And you mentioned family offices, which is a big part of our client base at Estate Space, and the groups that I've worked with, now pushing 20 years as I date myself here on the show, but
Yeah,
it's yeah, so it's interesting, it's interesting to me, the number of family offices that have actually started to come into existence on kind of the smaller scale, if you will, considering maybe 10, 15 years ago. But that it's helpful because now you've got structure within their organization. You're more or less dealing with a business that has some process in place. So
right.
I think the key to managing those relationships for us has always been traceability, right? So making sure that you're accountable is through making sure that you have proper records within your operation, so that when something like this comes up, to kind of build on that example that you shared. Yes, you've recommended something. They've said no, and you've also then most likely in a lot of these cases, like with the water heater, you've now let them know that okay, well, your life expectancy is X. If this does have a catastrophic fail, you could be looking at a cost that could be much more significant than what we've just done here. So, it's also making sure that you almost become a risk manager, right? That's kind of what I felt like I was managing risk on a daily basis.
I am insurance. I think sometimes I view myself as insurance, right? Like I am here to give every opportunity to prevent the catastrophic, right? And that isn't just making sure that the smoke alarm has battery change. It's so much more than that. We're protecting these properties and caring for these properties that are valued at multi-million dollars. So it requires a close eye. It requires care and attention to detail. I think a lot of my years spent in managing boutique hotels and private clubs sort of is the same job. A lot of it is the same work, right? I mean, so it's making sure that that the air conditioning units and HVAC are all serviced on a timely fashion, so that you don't have a situation where it just doesn't work when the clients come, because that's when it's not going to work, right? The precise time you need it to is the exact time it will go down for you and just not work. And you can't have that. If
right.
people remember how they feel in certain places, this is a key lesson from hospitality, is that people remember how they feel at certain places, and that feeling never goes away. So if you're able to always make sure that they're feeling comfortable and well taken care of and happy, in the place that they're in.
Mhm.
And it's nothing's better. Nothing makes you more valuable uh, to that client than that ensuring that they feel that way. And once you're able to do that, sky's the limit.
Yeah, and I think I love the approach of really getting to know your clients and their preferences and what they like, what they don't like, any considerations. Well, we can kind of share a secret here. One of the things that I found is as long as the heating controls or air controls are working and light switches turn on the light that they expect, or the home
Yeah,
control system is
yeah,
operating, you'll find that that's about 80% of the challenge.
yeah, yeah,
That really makes clients and guests feel like that level of comfort, a level of convenience, and then from there it's just a matter of certain guest services and really dialing in their experience and some of those little touches that go above and beyond to make them feel special.
yeah, yeah.
When the opportunity presents itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. It makes all the difference. It makes all the difference in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're here today talking with Philip Smith. Philip is again an amazing estate manager and director of residence for private families down in the Bahamas. He's been sharing wonderful insights, and I want to kind of talk about you now, Philip. And I'm always curious how all of our guests go beyond wealth themselves and really focus on kind of that personal work life balance and some of the things that you do to personally, remain, physically and mentally healthy, as you have a very challenging and demanding job.
Yeah, no, I think, with this job, when you're in hospitality, you realize that you're always on call, so that phone is
Yeah.
just never leaves my side, right? But it doesn't mean that I don't have a life or find time for myself. I think in this new business venture that I've started here, I've designed it in a way so that I can have a life again. When you come from hospitality, you end up kind of getting burned out. Especially with hotels, you just it's open 24/7, so you're going to call 24/7. This isn't completely different from that, but it's more able. I'm able to manage it a little differently. So I've taken up squash. I play squash. Which I'm not very well, but I like it. I walk in the evenings mostly so that I can actually get fit to play better squash. Um, I've my wife and I, we regularly schedule date nights. You got to have that work life balance, right? Nothing otherwise. I've done it before. I've made myself all consumed with work, and it's not a life. It's not a life, right? So I make it a point, and I think my clients appreciate the fact that I'm not completely obsessed with the work. Now, when I work, I'm 100% in it, but and I'm always available for a phone call to sort out a problem here or there. Um, but you got to have a life, um, and I'm appreciative of the clients that I have that, I've worked for people that would call me at 3 in the morning, just and expect me to be up and at attention right away, right? Although they'll just jump into conversation as though it's like 3 in the afternoon. Um, but my clientele now have I've, I've really grown to appreciate them for the fact that they are respectful of my time and the fact that I actually have a bit of a life, and I'd like to keep that going. And what it's done for me in a weird way is made me more appreciative of them, um, and wanting to ensure that everything that needs to get done is done. It's made me more hands on because it's endeared me to a degree, even more to their properties, ensuring that they're happy, um, because they've just been so great and wonderful towards me. Um, and it's always nice to find something in common with your clients. I got a client that owns a soccer team in Europe, and I played soccer in high school, so it's pretty cool to talk about it. Of course, I played soccer in high school. He owns a soccer team, so we're totally two very different aspects, but we still have a love for the game, right? So just telling him about my experience, when I saw Messi play, right? We're having a conversation. I'm talking about seeing Messi from the stands. He's talking about seeing him in person. We're two,
Right.
but either way, it's pretty fun to have the conversation and just to find a point of commonality. And then, it leads to more, to better understanding of where they're coming from and what their interests are. So that always helps because, maybe I remember a conversation that we had about this or that. He likes a particular kind of coffee, and then I get it for him, right? Or I make arrangements to so that when he comes in, it's always there, right? So there's just that kind of thing.
And I think you mentioned education earlier and what you're doing personally. I think it's also I always advise businesses like yours when in working in the space to really help coach up clients in the beginning around burnout, which is real, and really trying to strike that balance up front in a proactive way, because what you'll find is that this ends up becoming a fantastic tool and way in which you end up getting the best clients that have respect and care for you back, and that mutual respect will ultimately lead to better service for them. And if you can explain to them that use case and that scenario that ends up happening in most every case, when it's not dealt with, you'll find that those people that care and appreciate what you're sharing with them will ultimately become your best clients.
Yeah, it's been my experience. It's definitely been my experience, and I've worked both sides where I've been taken advantage of, or by owners or persons that own the hotels and that kind of thing. But also, I've seen the other side, the wonderful side, where clients are very appreciative and want to get to know you, and appreciative of the fact that I operate at my best when I'm not burnt out, when I've rested, right, and I'm able to deliver for them when I'm happy. So it's a give. They're able to make it so that I have a life, and I'm able to make it so that I'm able to take care of their properties and their estates in a fashion, in a way that where we maximize all of the benefits of these properties and keep them operational for as long as possible.
And I think it really comes down to having shared values and common values with your clients makes it a lot easier for you to then focus on, especially in the family office space, legacy and values are really, really important to those in which, do a good job of looking to safeguard what they've built and that legacy. And so, these are some really, really great tactics to, have conversations up front. I can tell you from experience that the family office, the individuals are going to appreciate it. You will ultimately appreciate it, and that mutual appreciation is going to lead to a lot of success. So, Philip, really have enjoyed the conversation today and some of the insights and challenges, along with some of the amazing work that you're doing. Congratulations to finding your space in the world here, and delivering excellence to clients. Just in wrapping up, can you just share with all of the listeners where they can find you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, but I've got my website, Atreides, ACM Bahamas.com, Atreides Consulting and Management. And you can always just look me up there, send me a quick note, and happy to answer any questions. So if there's anyone looking to buy homes or purchase properties in the Bahamas, just let me know. Happy to help.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Well, again, thank you for being here today. Thank you to all the listeners that are online with us now. We really appreciate your support. Hopefully you've enjoyed all the amazing insights and perspective that we've gotten out of Philip today in this conversation on another episode of Beyond Wealth. Continue to learn, continue to stay happy, and we'll look forward to you guys tuning in on the next episode.
Thanks for listening. If you found this conversation valuable, please leave a review on your favorite podcast platform or watch the conversion unfold on our YouTube channel @EstateSpace. We will see you next time on Beyond Wealth.